Right now, it's time for the second of the Superbike races. Ken Wootton, well, it seems that the Kawasaki team have been working pretty hard and have managed to get Troy Bayliss onto the grid.
Who would have thought so after that spectacular accident in the opening heat today? We've got Ben Archibald back on the grid after, of all things, a loose bolt holding the fuel tank on dislodged a fuel line. And of course, we've got Peter Goddard, third in that first heat this afternoon. He'll be looking to go better still after that terrible qualifying crash that nearly demolished the bike. He was very lucky to walk away from that.
He certainly was. We're in the starters' hands. Let's see who gets the whole shot. Everyone away pretty cleanly from the helicopter now. Have a look at this. It just shows you how quickly they get up to speed. 3 wide, Goddard on the outside through the kink for the first time. This is a great start. Goddard jockeying for position, and you can see just how quickly they get down to turn 2. Let's have a look at them. Graham Wilshaw there on screen. Brightly coloured machine. It is Troy Bayliss in the lead for the first time through the dogleg.
And behind him, Damon Buckmaster, our first heat winner. So we've got Kawasaki leading Suzuki, and tucked in behind, Craig Connell on the Ducati. 3 different brands of bike leading this first lap charge as we take the Shell Advanced Race Cam from the Shell Suzuki of Damon Buckmaster. He'll be looking to make it 2 from 2 here this afternoon after breaking through for his first Superbike race victory in that opening heat earlier today.
Well, no doubt Goddard's team as well have been working hard on getting another setup into the motorcycle to try and make it work in the second race. Craggle a fair way back. He's going to have to work for it. Let's have a look. The 2 Ducatis looking up fairly strong at the moment, but you'd have to say that Ben Archibald, he would be fired up, having lost the lead in the first race. Damon Buckmaster, the winner of the first race on screen. I would say, Ken, there would be a lot of competitors out here with big points to prove.
Well, not only that, but all these bikes all evenly matched as we look at Damon Buckmaster cutting the curbs there through the grass on the Shell Suzuki. Craig Connell fighting the Ducati as it works the suspension very hard. There's Ben Archibald on bike 6. He was leading that opening heat when, of all things, the bolt holding the fuel tank on sheared and dislodged a fuel line. So as you mentioned, he's out to reclaim some glory that he lost in that first leg when in the lead. Ben Archibald through the kink, over 200 kilometres an hour at that part of the circuit, and that's where Peter Goddard tossed the Ansett Air Freight Suzuki away during qualifying. But Troy Bayliss, he's the man out in front, 27 years old on the Zurich Kawasaki. Craig Connell now ahead of Damon Buckmaster on the Shell Advanced Suzuki, with Peter Goddard, 32 years of age, the most experienced rider, tucked in behind. Back riding with Buckmaster as we look at Bayliss lofting the front wheel down towards Hungry Corner.
Super fast down through there. The Kawasaki has good drive out of the corners. The power's fairly smooth, but there's plenty of it. Better than 160 horsepower driving the motorcycle down the hill. Now you can see them on the fast run to the corner that leads them onto the straight. Drive, all important, trying to get the good run, keep the top speeds up there. You can see the motorcycle shaking as they head into this kink, and you're on board again with Damon Buckmaster. He will be all fired up, looking for that advantage that will give him 2 out of 2 here at Lakeside for round 3 of the Shell Advanced Motorcycle Road Racing Championships.
You were mentioning the drive of the Kawasaki before. It's worth pointing out that both the Zurich Kawasaki's and the Suzukis of Damon Buckmaster and Peter Goddard all developed locally here in Australia, and without doubt the most competitive packages in the world for those particular brands. Look at Troy Bayliss through Hungry Corner, hugging that inside line. Look at the rear suspension working as he tries to get the power on as he drives up towards Eastern Loop. He's now got a flick to the right as he lifts himself up out of the seat. That's very difficult to do at that sort of speed. A lot of strain on the thighs and on the forearms. They have to be very fit, these superbike riders. You've got to wrestle the bike, you've got to hold onto those handlebars. Let's go back with Damon Buckmaster, a fit 22-year-old, as he fights that Suzuki up towards Eastern Loop, flicks right over the crest, and then he'll dive down towards the front straight. Craig Connell, much smaller in stature on the Ducati on bike 19. Troy Bayliss, a very nuggety 27-year-old from Taree in New South Wales. All these riders extremely fit and right on the limit here this afternoon.
Little doubt. Have a look at that as Bayliss monos his way down into Hungary. Remember, he's on the back wheel, then he has to square it in order to get the bike around the corner. The laps here very, very fast. Not quite lap record times, but The bumpiness of the circuit seeming to hold most of the competitors back time-wise. Bayliss, though, very forceful as he comes into the bus stop section. Right behind him, Craig Connell. Then it's Peter Goddard on the Suzuki. Look at the style of Damon Buckmaster. He is all off the side of the motorcycle, giving it all he's worth. And you can see just how difficult it is to keep a motorcycle over at that angle of lean. That's the boss right behind him, Peter Goddard, having a good look. As you know, we've got a camera on board with Damon. Look at the battle here. You've got Craig Connell determined to get up the inside, trying to use the torque of the Ducati as they come onto the straight. Bayliss having absolutely none of it. Slams through the kink on the straight. Goddard getting the bike a little light there. Bike 24 starting to get a little squirrely in the back end under brakes. They get very light quite often. You see air underneath the rear wheel. Again, look at Bayliss as he comes through the bus stop. Then compare him to Connell, bike 19. Craig Connell, very efficient on his motorcycle, an ex-Grand Prix racer. In fact, the reigning Grand Prix champion. Look at the style of Troy Bayliss as he forces the front end of the motorcycle to go where he needs it to go, not where it wants to go. As he comes through the bus stop, he almost seems to own this part of the circuit.
That's a good example of how physical you have to be on these bikes. You have to wrestle them from side to side, muscle them. Even Craig Connell on the Ducati, as you can see the front bouncing there over the bumps. But Bayliss leads from Connell from Goddard. What's exciting here is you've got three different brands of bike: 750cc four-cylinder Kawasaki, 750cc four-cylinder Suzuki, and a twin-cylinder 955cc Ducati. You've got Dunlop leading from Michelin, with Peter Goddard on Dunlop tyres in third place. Good mix of machinery, good mix of tyres, different suspension settings, different types of rider. Peter Goddard, who we're looking at now, 32 years of age, the most experienced rider in the field. He's raced 500s, he's raced in the endurance classes, he's raced in the Suzuka 8-hour, he's raced Superbikes, he started his road racing on 250cc production, and up ahead of him, Troy Bayliss and Craig Connell in their first season on Superbikes in Australian competition. And how evenly matched is that? The Kawasaki leading the Ducati with the Suzuki tucked in behind. All have advantages at various parts of the circuit, but when it comes to one lap of this 2.4 kilometre Lakeside circuit, very little separates them. It's a very tactical and a very intriguing race, and as we said before, Greg, a very physical race.
Certainly is. Look at Peter Goddard. He's starting to make some real ground here. He's efficient on the circuit. He's having a good look to see if there's a chink in the Connell armour. Once he gets past Connell, of course, he's going to have to work over this man, Troy Bayliss from Taree in New South Wales. After that huge get-off in the first race, has come back with a vengeance. The team looks as if they've provided him with a very competitive motorcycle. Great vision there as they come down after the kink. Who will it be? It looked like Goddard trying very hard up the inside, and he's through. So Goddard through on Craig Connell, now up into second place. It's Kawasaki, Suzuki, Ducati. The battle rages here at Lakeside. The crowd on their feet. You cannot beat this for superbike racing anywhere in the world. Goddard now on a charge. In fact, you can see he's got Bayliss in his sights. You're on board now with Bayliss. It's clear track ahead of him. He's got a very determined Peter Goddard in behind him. Any error will see Goddard jump right on by. Damon Buckmaster's putting in a strong ride. He's probably pleased to be out there.
Yes, not as pleased as the two guys out front who are lucky to be out on the track, both of them having monumental step-offs. Troy Bayliss in the first heat this afternoon, Peter Goddard in qualifying. And that as Goddard tries up the inside of Bayliss, can't do it, but that the teams could get these bikes back on the track and in such fantastic condition. Both of them, Goddard and Bayliss, they don't have spare machines. They've only got the one racing bike. So the only way that they can race for points is if their teams can patch up any war wounds. That they've done. We've got Bayliss leading the charge on the Zurich Kawasaki, Peter Goddard tucked in behind on the Ansett Air Freight Suzuki, and lurking in the background, the reigning Australian 250cc Grand Prix champion, Craig Connell. Less than a second separates these three as they come up through Eastern Loop. Bayliss holding on to that lead. He was our pole sitter earlier today. He started from the position 1 on the grid. He's got Goddard tucked in behind. Goddard leads the championship. Bayliss currently lies second as Goddard again tries up the inside. That's a 240 km/h corner, and it's the corner that Peter Goddard went bush in on Friday.
Certainly doesn't seem to be bothering him. He's very, very aggressive into that corner. Tries to work over Bayliss, but Bayliss just will have absolutely none of it and slams back across the front of him. Into the bus stop section they come. Martin Craggle now, bike 5, the second of the Team Zurich Kawasaki Superbikes, now sitting back in 4th place. So he's made some good ground. Have a look at this. How desperate is this through the bus stop? Buckmaster having to get around a lapped competitor in the middle of what is technically a one-bike line. So he is out there and determined to pile on the points. Goddard, though, I think the man at the moment on the charge. He's been protecting his tyres. Don't take it away from Troy Bayliss. He is so determined to get this bike across the line and pick up the points. Again, another lap competitor coming into play. It can go one way and it can go the other, and quite often it goes the other when it comes to lap competitors.
Well, a lot of it here has to do with tactics, with keeping pressure on. Peter Goddard, a master at that. He'll sit right behind Troy Bayliss. Troy will know that there's a Suzuki there. He'll feel it, he'll hear it. As Goddard again tries up the inside and Bayliss slams across the front. This is exciting racing. Peter Goddard desperately trying to find a way past, but Bayliss particularly smooth. As we look on the replay, nearly through goes the Suzuki, but Bayliss with the wider line cuts across the front tyre of Goddard's machine and holds him out as they come through the bus stop. They're on the second last lap. They only have one lap to run after this one. We're riding with your race leader, Troy Bayliss. Little more than 1.5 laps round this 2.4 kilometre Brisbane circuit as he comes through Hungry Corner, up towards Eastern Loop, from the left over to the right. Let's look at a replay through the bus stop that time. Working the bike, hard on the brakes as he flicks it right with his knee, scraping through the grass, closing off any chance of Peter Goddard getting up the inside as he then accelerates hard, front wheel lifting off the tarmac. Here they are on their last lap. Bayliss, 240 km/h. Goddard trying to close in. Can he get past him, Greg?
Well, it certainly seems that Bayliss is doing everything he can to make that bike as wide as he possibly can. Have a look at this. Goddard tries up the inside going into the bus stop section. Couldn't do it. Now, that very well could have been Goddard's last attempt at trying to wrest the lead from Troy Bayliss. Bayliss is just having absolutely none of it. Here it is on replay. Look at this. As Goddard shoots up the inside, every time he tries this on Troy Bayliss, Bayliss says, "Not on your Nelly," and shuts the door on him again. Bayliss just will wear this nowhere, anytime on the circuit. He will simply not allow Goddard around him. Here it is, the drag race now to the flag. I think that Bayliss has Goddard's measure. This has been a huge ride from both of these competitors. Win, lose or draw, these are men of steel. As Bayliss has gotten across the line and takes the win ahead of Goddard, and Craig Connell on the Ducati gets up for third. Well, certainly a brilliant performance from all three of these competitors, now on their slowdown, and just appreciating the crowd's applause. Goddard now leads on 106 points ahead of Bayliss, Craggle, Buckmaster and Connell. In the 600 Supersports, Kevin Curtin, 40 points clear of Warwick Nowland. 250 production, and it's Michael Kinner with only a couple of points in hand. To the 250 Grand Prix, Alan Watts, only 2 points ahead of Atlee. The 125's Jason Cousins looking pretty strong on 101. On to the sidecars, and it is Porteous and Des Landers on 109 points.